Welcome to the Christian Media Marketing Show. My name is John. On behalf of the whole Kavanaugh team, thanks for hanging out with me today. Whether you're listening to the podcast, watching the YouTube channel, however it is, I'm grateful for you and for you just spending some time trusting us to be a part of your team, giving you ideas, suggestions, watch outs for marketing, cybersecurity, partnership, all of those things. When Kavanaugh was formed as a nonprofit here last year, those were the major components. Because for us, we want to eliminate those things that are stopping those on the field from being able to accomplish their Great Commission objectives. That's through forming strategic partnerships. It is through training. It is through setting up and doing certain things on behalf of field teams so that you can focus on what God has called you to do. One of the major areas that I have been leaning into is more in the area of protection, specifically cybersecurity, governance, risk, compliance. There's a lot of rules, there's a lot of laws that even as a mission team, you are bound by. And depending upon the country, the location, where your funds are, all of these things, your mission org, others that are part of your team, there are certain obligations that you have. And so I'm going to be sharing with you a little bit about some of those things here in the next couple of weeks. But I do want to let you know that even on the marketing side, we literally are just thinking about it and doing it every single day. And we're learning and seeing things that used to work and aren't working now, and also things that just aren't working. Or what's even frustrating, sometimes things that work for one person on our team and literally another person will do it and it's not working. We have a bunch of just SOPs, of checklists and ways that we work through things. But one of the things that we're considering is starting to do more almost blog type of entries of teaching about things that we're seeing, partly because so much of the meta world is changing all the time. And so we have, as of this Friday coming out now, a new entry. If you go over there to resources, you can get our weekly marketing newsletter. And in there, you're going to see the news from the week that relates to marketing and cyber stuff that relates to mission teams. But you'll also see in there an article that was written by Amanda on our team just about navigating the negative messages on Facebook. What can we learn? What should we do? What is the algorithm doing in response to negative messages that we get? And I think it's great training, and I think it would be a great tool for you. So go over to our CavanaughMedia.com website. You can download that. You can sign up for the weekly marketing newsletter. You can see old podcasts that are on there and other resources that we have available for you. All right, let's move forward and talk today about just the idea of risk management. I have received here in the last few weeks two different certifications from the company that actually literally created the concept of GRC. GRC is governance, risk, and compliance. And this is a massive area for the just civilian business world, all of that. Managing the structures to accomplish a mission, managing risk, managing compliance to the different laws, terms of service, all of these things are really, really important. And so I've been working to go through, took all sorts of training and testing to get two different certifications, both in GRC, governance, risk, and compliance, and also just as a risk management professional. The reason behind that is because I want to help provide protection to the best that I can and the best our team can for the teams that we get to serve. The organizations that are out there, especially small ones, need help when it comes to this. And so I'm hoping to build out a network of practitioners. There are a few that have already come and approached, and we're starting to build some of this out of different types of expertise in cybersecurity, in compliance, in legal, in all sorts of areas to be able to pool our resources together, a protector network, if you will. And so I want to share with you today just some teaching. It's going to be actually be 2 to 3 weeks of teaching here that I'm going to go through on the podcast and the YouTube channel about risk management for Christian missionaries and Christian missions. Some strategies that you can use when it comes to this subject because it is an important one. You may not immediately think, well, what do I care about governance or compliance? I just want to be faithful to Jesus. Yeah, I want you to as well. But following the different things that are out there will keep you out of trouble and, even most importantly, help you with risk. And that's the thing I want to talk about because we live in a risky world. So, when it comes to just risk itself, you are facing all sorts of different types of risk. You have physical, digital, legal, spiritual, all of these things are at play in your life, your family's life, your team's life, your ministry, your church, your mission org, all of those areas. And physical things could be everything from earthquakes, tsunamis, violence, all sorts of stuff to that. Digital, that is just a massive and a massively growing area as well. Legal compliance, things like GDPR, or let's say that your website has credit cards, a way for people to give with credit cards. There's actually laws that have to be followed to be compliant when doing that. And definitely with spiritual, you and I and all of us, we're in a spiritual battle. The Bible is very clear about that. And especially when you're taking light into dark places, it is a place of battle. So GRC principles offer a framework, and a framework is just a great way of putting all these things together to identify, to assess, and then to manage these risks. We cannot eliminate all of them, but we can manage them. But part of that means we have to know what they are, know how much of a risk they are, and then figure out what are we going to do with that risk. And so, first thing that I think is really important when talking about risk is to understand just the risk landscape that you specifically find yourself in. Every team out there is in a different risk landscape. You individually and your family are in a different risk landscape potentially than maybe some of your other teammates. And so there's ways to take context analysis and you can assess the geopolitical, the cyber, the legal, and the religious risk that are being faced. These are everything from tools like SWOT analysis, there's qualitative, there's quantitative, and I'll share some of these tools on the final podcast, not today with you. But going through each of these will allow you to tailor the risk identification to you and your specific region. So if you're serving in the MENA region, the Middle East, North African region, that will look different than the Asian Pacific or South Asia. The risk that you face, geopolitical, physical, cyber, legal, religious, all of that will be different. Yes, there are best practices when it comes to cyber. There are best practices that you can apply kind of across the board, but there are also specific ones depending upon where are you? What tools are you using? Where are you storing your data? Like there's a lot that comes into it. So these risk landscapes just let you know what are you up against? Where are you operating? What is the biggest threat? What are the things that you're facing? And then from there, point number two would be establishing a clear governance when it comes to risk. I think it's really important that you define the roles and the responsibilities for what is your mission org going to do, what is those who maybe are serving the field and field staff, what are you all as the workers on the field, what are your partners that are out there, maybe it's another team, organization, maybe even just supporters back in your home country, but understanding who can be doing and should be doing what and really understanding that. That's the idea of just governing it, looking over it. Who is doing what? And if you don't do this, it's possible to think that something is covered, but it's not. I'll give you an example. When I was in the military and was doing firefighting, one of the things that they taught, and one of the things that I learned really quick, was that it wasn't enough for me to say, hey, I need like an axe to gain entry into something. I needed to look somebody in the face, physically be able to touch them, maybe put a hand on the shoulder or something, let them know I see them, I'm talking to them, and would say to them, get me this, get me an axe. Now, the responsibility had been transferred. They know what they need to do, and they knew that I had given that to them, and I knew who I had talked to. And so it's just establishing these roles, these responsibilities. If it's just one person trying to do it all, it probably won't get done. And so use accountability structures then to manage the oversight across your team. And if you're in a higher level of leadership, across all of your teams. Not every person has to do everything. From that, then you can get a risk ownership and a culture of understanding this risk. You need to assign risk owners for these key areas. And so, who is responsible for digital security on your physical team? If you're thinking your org's going to do all of it, you may find out that they're not, or maybe they don't have somebody set up to do that. And or maybe they need help. So having a chief information security officer at your organizational level is great, but who's making sure your information is secure on a personal level? Who's making sure your phones are secure, your computers, just your digital security, your legal compliance? I know if you're maybe like me and you get some piece of software or you sign up for something, you scroll through the terms of service, if at all, and just click I accept at the bottom. But we can put ourselves or our mission organizations at risk when we are not complying with the terms of service that are set up. So just assign risk owners for some key areas. Just know who is doing what on your team. And then foster a culture where risk is proactively reported and it's managed. So don't hide mistakes, don't run away from them. This is the whole idea of black box thinking. This, but making sure that we're talking about what is happening, who is doing what things are we learning from it? Because here's the beautiful thing about risk. Risk isn't always a negative. Like I would believe that if you're on the mission field, you believe that the risk is worth it of what you're doing to get the gospel to people who need to hear it. That's an opportunity. And so with risk, there's also reward. And so assigning these risk owners also aligns itself to the reward of what you're trying to do. So developing a culture that is really just saying, hey, we understand these are the things we are going into this with our eyes open. We're mitigating the risks the best that we can. We understand these things. And so we're moving forward. Let me give you another example here. Just knowing the owner of all of these things, let's say the physical one, not everybody in your team might need one, but maybe you need a generator if the area that you're in has frequent power losses. Maybe you need a backup type of internet. Maybe you need Starlink. I don't know. It's going to be dependent upon you and what you need, but really thinking through where risk is proactively reported, it is thought through, and it is managed. Don't hide it. We can't bury our head in the sands and think it won't happen to me because it is happening to Christian workers, and it is going to continue to happen. And it seems like in some areas, especially in cyber, it's growing. Final one for today is just then to use integrated risk management. And what that basically means is you want to make sure that risk itself is integrated into all parts of your team, your organization, all of that. Combining cybersecurity, legal, operational risk management and making sure that all of those things are being talked about and worked from the same type of playbook. So you're aligning your risk response and your strategies with your mission goals and your kingdom values. That's the key thing here. Why are we here? What is our goal and our mission, our purpose and our vision? And then how does risk play itself out in all aspects? In our fundraising, in our language learning, where we live, how we serve, what we do, all of that, understanding what parts risk and the rewards of that all play into it. What are the risks that being able that you can't study the language or your language school shuts down? What would you do? Just thinking ahead a little bit to it. I mean, that you might think, well, that's no big deal. We can get another one, or we'll go to someplace else. In another place, it could be critical. Maybe you only have one person to teach you the language you're learning in the whole country or in the whole region that you're in. What would you do? And this is then that process of really integrating your thinking into all aspects of ministry. All right. So next week, Lord willing, will give you some more just specific things that you can be doing as you think through just how are we going to handle the risk and the opportunities, the rewards, the things that are out there. What can we be doing? What do we need? What do we need to start doing? Stop doing? What help do we need? And this is an area where I hope to be able to lean in and continue to provide consulting and help. There's a lot to this, and I'll be sharing with you at least next week, if not the next 2 weeks, some very specific ways of how you can do this and look through this for your ministry. All right. So I hope that this is making you think. I hope that it is going to be a benefit to you, and I hope that no matter what, you don't stop. Yes, I know there are risks. I pray for many of you by name, those of you that I know, but I'm praying even for those of you that I don't know, that you can accomplish the mission that God is calling you to do. And as always, if we can help you in some way, I want us to be able to do that. So thank you for the opportunities to lean in next to you, to put our hands together on the plow, to make Jesus famous and see the renewal of all things. Until next time, take care and God bless.